This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Money Live, and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Welcome to Keith and Lee's Don't Get Me Started. Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Keith.
Well, finally, Keith, winter has come. It's taken its time. It's been dragging its heels, but it's finally here, which means we can put the jumpers on. We can get the old blankets out to keep us warm at night, and you can wear your long pants and jeans to finally cover up those knobbly knees of yours, mate.
Knobbly knees? You're kidding. They're well-shaped masculine knees.
Shaped for coffee leg feet, I think, would be great. Those knobbly knees of yours, mate. You know, you get those curved, round, gnarly, knobbly coffee table legs.
No.
That's you.
No, ball dust.
Your 16th century Louis XVI table leg kneecaps.
Where do you get this stuff from?
Come on, Mully. Speak the truth, shame the devil. You know, look at your knees, mate. You've been telling me nothing works on them.
The shape's fine. I've just got a little skin problem there.
Well, you can say it's fine. I beg to differ.
Well, beg all you like. I'm not wearing it, man. They're good knees. They're good masculine knees. I've played rugby in them. I've went surfing on them. I've jogged. I've done half marathons, done triathlons, and I'm walking around on them, and they're supporting me still. So what's wrong with them?
Well, I'll rest my case. You've been putting them through too much hard work for too long, Mully.
You know, I can still use them functionally. I don't use a wheelchair or a walking stick.
A Zimmer frame.
You know, I've got a black belt in Taekwondo. I use these knees to support my kicks. Come on, mate. Come on. Jeez, but it is winter. And, well, it's not really winter. It's actually the start of autumn here on the subtropics. And it means we have to put on a little bit of extra clothing, a long sleeve, long pants.
Well, you're wearing a hoodie now, which I haven't seen you in for so long. But you like wearing long pants. You told me that.
Yeah, I do.
Get the jeans out, you said.
Well, it's quite funny, you know, you're an Englishman who lives in Australia. I'm an Australian who could live in England. I reckon I could live over there quite easily. And if I had to live inside, I'd have my library and I'd have my special reading room and I'd have everything all set up. Preferably a nice house on the coast with a view out over the ocean so I can have a look at the bleak grey Northern Sea or the Irish Sea. You know, I'd be happy with that.
Oh, look, go down to Cornwall or St Ives. Beautiful. You can surf down there as well.
I'd go to Yorkshire. You can surf up there in Scarborough. There's surf there. I saw them surfing when I was there.
Yeah, but Yorkshire's got nothing on Cornwall, mate.
Yeah, I believe that. I haven't been to Cornwall, so next time when I get over there, I'll have a look. But, yeah, it's the start of our cold season coming in. The nights are becoming a little bit nippy. Have to put a little extra on to get through. But all in all, it's still comfortable, isn't it?
It is, mate. It's been lovely. I think we are so spoiled with the new winters here. I look forward to them every year. Beautiful, crisp skies. Fresh. It's not hazy. It's not humidity. It's just delicious.
There's some places in the Northern Hemisphere, well into the interior of Canada and also in places like the very northern parts of the Soviet Union and Scandinavian countries where they have buildings that contain all that a village would need inside a building. They've got schools, they've got shops, they've got gyms, they've got your accommodation. Everything is inside these buildings because their winters are so long.
Oh, yeah.
And their daylight in the winters are so small and weak that they have to have special rooms to go and get. What do you call them when you go in and get these special rays to give you vitamin C? Should have done my homework, shouldn't I?
You should have done, mate.
Anyway, this just
It's
popped
called
out.
central heating in the UK.
Yeah, well, it's not that. It's special.
Vitamin D, is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's what you need. You go in there and you have these rays that you expose yourself to. But anyway, we didn't come here to talk about the weather. Actually, before we get on to our topics, I've got a very little interesting piece of information for you.
No.
It's probably something that you've never considered, and not many people know this. Who's to say that? A famous English actor. Not many people know that.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
My mate Michael.
Now, you take a keen interest in American politics, don't you?
I do.
Now, would you consider America to be an empire?
Not by first glance, no.
Well, it might surprise you. The following locations around the world have been colonised by America. The Philippines, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Alaska, Panama Canal, or the Panama Canal Zone,
Yep.
the US Virgin Islands, Guam, and American Samoa. So there's about 8 places there that I've mentioned that America has either colonized or has some political control over. And America very definitely is an empire. Now, one of their presidents, I don't know who it was, said we Americans can either be an empire or a republic. We cannot be both. And I think there's a good case. If you look at America today, we're in May 2026. You look at the state of American politics over there, it's very polarized and messy, and it seems to be that their state of so-called democracy is not very healthy. Their republic is not very healthy because they're more interested in interfering in other people's countries because that's their empire. So perhaps that president was right. You can't have an empire and have a republic. And that may explain today why American politics and social living is in such turmoil. Did you ever consider that before, Lee?
No.
Well, there you go. You didn't expect it either today, did you? But it gives a good perspective on something, doesn't it?
It does. Very true. Because my next thing was, how's your Mother's Day?
Well, I was thinking about this coming in. I thought Lee would be interested in this because the thing about empires is that they're bloodsuckers. You go to Europe, which a lot of people want to do, and you look at the magnificent buildings, they're just so huge, they're grand, they're beautifully designed, the painting and the decoration is just astonishing. And it costs a lot of money to build those massive constructions. And if you take those European countries that are primarily benefiting that way or look so terrific, which would be Spain, Portugal, Holland, France and England, you think of them as an empire, and then you go back and look at all the colonies that they had around the world and go and see their buildings. In some of the colonies that those 5 countries that I just mentioned, people still live on dirt floors because the mother empire sucks all the resources out of their colonies. That's why they take them in the first place, so that they can take over their resources, ship them back to their mother country, be rich and build magnificent buildings and estates and set up an aristocracy.
Well, Molly.
That's the way of the world, my man.
Very interesting.
Well, I could have come in here with a corny joke. I thought I'd give you
that would have been better. Guess who I spoke to a few days ago?
Oh, no, let me have a guess. Our Prime Minister?
Nearly. Mr. Robbie.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. How is he?
Mate, he's good as gold. I had to give him a call. I couldn't get my time right to complete a job. Rang him. Robbie.
He's one of life's great souls, isn't he?
He's one of those guys who we've known him for 30 years. He's just got that mannerism about him that you want to just give him a big cuddle and say, mate, what a dude you are.
Well, I believe that you. In fact, the last time when I saw him last year, I hadn't seen him for about 5 or 6 years. That's exactly what he did. He said, oh, Molly, and his face just beamed and he just come here and he just engulfed me.
He's always happy. He's always that guy. And when I see him drive in sometimes where I'm at and I'm looking at him and he looks up and there's this big smile, big get together. A
big round body.
Big shout out to you, Robbie. I said I would, mate. You're one of the nicest guys I know. Keep doing what you're doing, mate. It's unreal.
Yeah, amen to that. He's one of life's great souls. He is just gold.
For sure.
We love you, Robbie. Hope you're listening, mate.
Good on you, Robbie. Now, like you said, we're not here to keep twatting on.
Why not?
Twittering on, or what would be another phrase for it?
Rattling on.
Rattling on, yeah. I'll stop banging on.
Banging on. We're not pontificating, are we?
No, we're definitely not doing that.
We should try pontificating one time.
It didn't work for me.
Then everyone would go to sleep, wouldn't they?
I walked off with a limp.
Then people could definitely say with certainty those blokes have no idea what they're talking about.
Absolutely none. Our topic, Mully, it came up, and I don't think we've done this before. I think we've touched on it on a few other of our podcasts, but you've isolated this one, and I thought, yes, I think it'd be a good one to do now.
Yes.
For the reason I'll explain after. So go ahead.
Our topic is, what do you hear when all is still and quiet? What do you hear when all is still and quiet?
Me personally?
Well, I think we can all answer it ourselves. But if you want to answer from your perspective, go ahead.
Mine is, have you fed the dog? Have you taken the bins out? Have you fixed the gate yet? All of that. No, I'm joking.
That's the voice of your wife, not silence.
No, true. Sometimes I wish it was that way, though. I love this topic. I love the question, like most of them. It gets you thinking. And I always like taking notes of how I feel. I'm a great believer of being still and being quiet because you do have that still voice. Or do you have that still voice? Or is it just our consciousness making a noise? Or are we so used to noise, it's reverberating around in our head anyway? Can we define if we do have that quiet, still voice that I listen to on a regular basis? I hope that you're enjoying the podcasts and the content that we're bringing to you each week. I want to take a moment to invite you to support the show. Your contributions help us continue creating high-quality episodes, bringing in exciting guests and exploring the topics you love. Every bit helps, whether it's a small donation or signing up for our Patreon account. By supporting us, you're not just helping keeping the lights on, you're becoming part of our community and helping us grow. To show our appreciation, we offer exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more for our supporters. So if you love what we do and you want to see us thrive, please consider signing up at buzzsprout.com/don't get me started. Support the show. Thank you for being part of our journey, and let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's what you hear, isn't it? It may not be audible, but it's what comes into your waking consciousness. Sometimes, man, it even comes into your sleep. I've had some profound thoughts in my sleep. Just the other day, for example, I woke up and in my dream, I was prompted to check the oil in my car. And so before I drove out that day, I checked the oil and it was low. And there was a very good chance, because I had to drive a considerable distance, there was a very good chance if I'd have driven on that empty engine with no oil, I could have blown the engine up. So I heard something while I was asleep, which was quite remarkable. But when we're conscious, when everything is quiet, the day is finished, our affairs are at rest, there's nothing more to do, and it's still and it's quiet. Perhaps your partner's gone to bed, perhaps your children are at bed. There's nothing you want to watch on television. What do you hear? And I've got a bit of a I've got a bit of a theory. Some people don't like silence.
A lot of people don't like silence
because they hear things that disturbs them. Before we go back, or before we unpack that a little bit further, I remember you telling me a couple of weeks ago about this silent room that you came across or that you read about in America.
Yeah, I forget where it was now.
And from memory, you described it as it was scientifically set up so that you would sit in total silence.
Yeah.
And people go in there, and the longest anybody's been able to endure it was 45 minutes.
Well, that's not entirely true. That was just a clickbait to get you to read it. Yeah, people have been in there longer than 45 minutes. I think an hour and a bit's a top, but they can't take the silence because they can hear their heartbeat.
Is it the heartbeat or the thoughts and realizations that come into their consciousness?
Again, here we are. This is why we're discussing it. I put down here a few little things of being quiet. Just the word being quiet, what it does. I've got down, it says it reduces stress and lowers blood pressure, calming the nervous system while boosting creativity and self-awareness. It shifts your focus towards observing surroundings and deep thinking, allowing you to process emotions, gain mental clarity, and often understand situations more deeply than you would have constantly thought about. There's key impacts here: mental and physical health, improved perception, increased productivity, deeper communications, and the one I like, emotional processing. So I can go through these later on, but that's the notes I put down here. Every time I'm quiet, it goes deep with me. I love the quiet. I do. My blood pressure. So if I did have a procedure while I was being quiet about my blood pressure, I think it would go down.
Is that your mind working when you're consciously addressing things that you need to, or is that something that comes to you independently?
Independently, and I think you or me or anybody else needs to stop. And I said this before. I said, go into a room for 5 minutes and be quiet. And a lot of people can't take that quiet. They're accosted by it. They're beaten up by it. They can't take that quiet. Well, maybe the reasons you've said about they listen to or they hear things they don't want to hear. Silence reduces adrenaline and it lowers the blood pressure. And it allows the brain's default mode network to activate. I like that. So you step off the gas of living life and dealing with problems or just getting up and getting at it. You take your foot off the gas, goes into auto, goes into your brain's default.
That's interesting, isn't it?
It's very interesting. I like that. I think mine does that on a regular basis without even me knowing.
So you're saying that the thoughts that come into you when you are in silence, and you're still, you're not active in any way, your brain goes into some sort of automatic mode,
Yeah.
and it will bring things to you rather than you putting things in your brain to try and work on.
Yeah, I think what it does is that it just lays quietly in wait. And when you have that quiet moment, it goes, hello.
Well, I think this is probably a bigger subject than, what you and I could actually tackle really from a true perspective. But it seems to me that when you are in a situation where you are still inactive and silent, total silence, you either hear yourself or you hear something spiritual. Now, I'll get onto the spiritual in just a minute.
Say.
I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like silence is because they hear themselves. They think about where their life is up to, what they have or have not achieved in life, where their goals are, or even if they have got goals, they might realize, look, I don't have goals. I'm lost. I really don't know where I'm going in life. I think you can hear yourself. You can hear your regrets, even though you may not have faced the law or the consequences by being caught out, say it's a very serious matter, that regret can come to you. So sometimes I think a lot of people don't like silence. That's why they fill the late evenings with television and music and all sorts of things, because they don't like to hear themselves. I've known people who hate that part of the day and they embark on studying at university. They do course after course after course after course.
They don't want to go to sleep.
No, they fear it. And in fact, I've heard of them passing out at home studying because their body's just caught up with them. You can't stop the silent speaking to you.
This is where I said to you before about how a lot of people can't read a room. They can't see the subtle little cues in there. So what I've got down here is improved perception. Without the distraction of talking, your brain sharpens its observations of your surroundings, such as noticing non-verbal cues and subtle details. Now, if you take that quietness, or you don't talk, or you're in a room with others, or you see people and you're just silent, I think you can pick up those little subtle changes, which makes you more aware.
Well, that's really interesting. That's the perspective I was thinking about concerning the spiritual. Now, you're saying be quiet when you're amongst other people and just sit and
read the room.
Read the room and observe and see what you see and take in what you are listening to and you are observing. Isn't that how you approach the spiritual side of silence? You put aside your own ego. You put aside your desires, your wants, the things that you would be thinking about all the time. I must get more money because I want to get enough to take myself on a fantastic holiday. So you're driven by that. How can I do it? Can I work more? Can I invest in this? Can I get smarter? Blah, blah, blah. The brain works hard, hard, hard. Put all that aside. Put your ego aside and enter into the void. And isn't that where they say there's spiritual understanding? And so that's kind of like what you're saying in a crowd, in a room. Withdraw from all the social interaction, be silent yourself, don't talk to anybody and see what you can see and notice and hear.
It's not like meditation. My wife does a lot of meditation. So you go into a room to meditate. But this is just about being quiet. Like, don't talk, just listen and see how you react and your body reacts. Now, I was in a work environment once and I had my son with me and there was a chippy there. And every time we had smoko, the guy just couldn't stop talking. He'd over-talk you, and he just didn't stop. So I said to Luke, when we have smoko, say nothing. So we said nothing, and he's talking, and nothing's coming back. And he went quiet. Guess how long he stayed at that table? 30 seconds. Oh, well, fellas, I'm going to go back to work. Gone.
Really?
Couldn't take, honestly, mate.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
He couldn't take the quiet because he had to have noise or people around him. You find people that can't go away overseas just with their wife. They have to have friends with them. They've got to have that companionship. Can you imagine them being on their own? Could you imagine the pain that they would do to themselves?
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to what I said in the beginning. I think they hear themselves and they don't like themselves.
I think that's it. That's the whole point.
So it might not be that they're troubled by past actions or whatever, but sometimes people can see their deficiencies and they don't like it. And because it's very hard for all of us, and I include myself in this, by God, to be able to admit honestly with ourselves our failings or our faults. Who really likes to know that you're not as good or as perfect as you could? Well, none of us are perfect, obviously.
Well, you're not far off it, Molly.
Hey, I'm coming back, man. I'm coming back. I was just about to give you the flick earlier when you're talking to me about my knees.
You're going to stay for a bit, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to stay
now.
Thank
goodness.
Some people just have trouble accepting themselves, Lee.
Well, emotional processing, this is my last one that I put down. Quiet moments allow you to sit with feelings of boredom, sadness or fear, leading to better self-acceptance rather than constant distraction. So what that's saying is, are you bored? Are you sad? Or are you fearful? That's the thing when there's quiet.
I think that all fits in with what I've been saying. Yeah,
I'm bored.
Yeah, got to get up and get moving. I've got to put something into my head.
I'm sad because there's nothing happening. Or fear, leading to better self-acceptance rather than constant distraction.
So that means that denotes in a sense that the older and the more mature that you become, the more capable you are of handling silence.
The other bit I've got is social misinterpretation. Others may interpret your silence as anxiety.
Yes, I could. Very definitely.
Again, boredom or judgment rather than the calm observation that it is.
Well, stop me if I've told you this before, but I worked in a school where students, if they were misbehaving, were removed into a room where they had to remain in complete silence. They were not to take a book, certainly no digital screen stimulation, no homework, no schoolwork. They were to sit there in total silence. And they chose how long they would be in that room. And then they'd have to go back to the teacher where they committed the appropriate behaviour and negotiate with the teacher whether they can come back into that classroom, which I think is a brilliant system. And there's a bit more to it that I could explain, but I won't. But it's a system that enables classrooms to run orderly. Sadly, a lot of schools don't employ this system. Now, the reason I mention this is because when those students and their high school students went into this room and sat there with nothing, no visual, no audio stimulation. Oh, there was brightly coloured walls with very positive, reaffirming things like you are a result of your own choices and today's the first day of the rest of your life, all this sort of stuff. You are what you think, blah, 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 all this positive stuff. That was all that was in there to stimulate these kids. They hated it. They just couldn't stand it. And they would do everything to negotiate with their teachers to be let back into the classroom. And if their misdemeanor had been such that the teacher said, man, I don't want that kid back into my classroom for a week, the teacher could keep them there. And the parents were informed of this. And they were all signed on for this behavioural program at the beginning of the year. But the kids, I saw one on his knees begging his teacher to come back into the classroom. And he was a little so-and-so. Couldn't handle the silence. He'd rather have 6 smacks across the back of his legs.
What you're saying is isolation. So down here, it's saying when taken to an extreme or used for emotional withdrawal, it can lead to loneliness, which you could feel that. We spoke about loneliness before. But I used to help out with the children's group. When we used to go away, we'd go down ice skating or we'd go go-karting and we'd be in the coach. And you'd always go, okay, guys, here we go, off we go. And then there's trouble because there's these particular people. So what I used to do, I never used to chastise them. I never said, right, when you get home, I'm going to tell your parents, you little so-and-so. I used to put the noisy ones and sit them next door to the quiet ones. And then they just went quiet. It was doing them a favour because they'd gone from level 10 down to level 4. And when they actually got to that place where we're at, they were unreal. They were calm, they were collected, and it was a really good system.
So that's good amateur psychology in practice, Lee. Well done.
Yeah.
Now, I've been thinking about all this about this subject, and I keep coming back to this famous scripture that says, "Be still and know that I am God." We can take that at face value. All right, when we're quiet, we'll hear the voice of God. Yeah, okay, maybe you will, but I think there's more in this than so-called hearing God. I think it's saying you are going to hear things that are very good for you, things that are special truths, things that are going to be just what you really need to hear, whether you like it or not. And in some cases, they're so good for you, you could even call it divine. In some cases, they are so good for you, you could say it is the voice of God that you are hearing. So I really think there's a lot in this. Be still and know that I am God, because it's probably saying when you are still, you're going to hear some terrific things.
I agree.
I said a little bit earlier before, you're going to hear some horrible things about what you've done or what you're missing out on or why you think your life is bad. But you can hear some terrific things when it's still and it is quiet. There's some things there that are just waiting to be discovered. And I'm sure this is why a lot of the Asian religions put such an emphasis on meditation?
Yeah, well, it's like this. Silence gives us space to reflect and connect with our values, our intentions, and our inner voice, as you were saying. In many meditation practices, silence is the gateway to mindfulness and deeper self-awareness. It's not just quiet, it's clarity. So when we turn down external volumes, we turn up the internal insight for ourselves. There's so much happening. I know, because when I do switch off from the world, I unplug, my inner self does light up. It does function. You have to learn to go with it and define between the white noise. I always say about my one true voice, my inner voice, a hum. But once you can isolate that, I get a lot from it. It gives me clarity, gives me understanding. It gives me peace of mind. It gives me the sense of not contentment as such, or not grounded to this earth, but a fulfillment, a reason. There we go.
And what about peace?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it gives me peace. It gives me that understanding of reality, of who I am. And like a lot of phrases go, well, how the hell are you going to love anybody else if you can't love yourself? You've got to love yourself first. And then, like you're saying, you've seen it, I've seen it, people get into it. They love it. And they're really great people. And then you see the other people that struggle with it, and you feel for them. And then you get the others that go, no way in the world am I going to be quiet. It's just not me. Turn it up, brother. Okay, all right, off you trot then.
Yeah. Don't slam the door on the way out type. But peace, I think, is definitely part of this, isn't it?
Yeah, quietness can be also misconstrued as being shy because you've got nothing to say. It's madness. Quiet doesn't mean empty. It just means people have an intensive internal conversation with themselves and they deal with it.
Still waters run deep.
But I've got a couple more and I'm going to ask you. So what do you think if I said to you, Mully, go into a room for 5 minutes and write down your thoughts? Could you do that?
Yeah.
Could you do 10 minutes?
Yep.
Half an hour?
I'd like to think so.
Okay, let's go for 1 hour.
Well, what I've noticed recently is that before I go to sleep, when I lay down, put my head on the pillow, before I go to sleep, it's almost like I've been hallucinating. I've been having the most amazing visuals, if you like, inside my thought patterns.
Have you been drinking that?
No.
Oh.
Back in my drinking days, when I laid my head down on the pillow, I'd just pass out. But no, I'm just having these like, it's almost like I could write a script on them. I just see these amazing situations that are almost supernatural where...
This is before you go to sleep.
Yeah, just before I go to sleep.
Yeah, but I'm talking about 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I do it and it's not every day, but just to have that quiet time. It is this unplugging. I feel more refreshed. I've shut off the world and its wife. You've got to be doing that. You've got to get this done. You've got to make sure that. Don't forget that bill's due next week. Oh, don't forget, take out the trash. There's this thing called life, which you carry on your shoulders. And when you put it down and you disconnect from it, more and more people, I think, are doing it now. I think they have a better understanding of it, but not enough.
Well, I've just been trying to answer your question. What would I hear?
For 1 hour.
Yeah, I think it'd be okay even if I didn't hear anything.
No, you would definitely be... You were definitely hearing things.
Well, I think probably you would initially because, you know, our brains are in top gear as we're going through the day. But if we stop and put an hour aside, our brain's still on that roller coaster. It's still moving. But after maybe 20, 40 minutes when it's really stopped, I'm not sure you'd be hearing things. You might.
No, I don't mean hearing things. It's what you'll be experiencing.
Well, it could be nothing.
Because then you write it down. Come on, Mully.
Well,
could be nothing.
Well,
what are you thinking about? Nothing. You're always thinking about something. And you give it that quiet time and you allow it to not be distracted by your work, your next job, you're reading the book. You're just still. You're just still. And I think what it does, it scares the crap out of a lot of people because, as you're saying, this thing comes across. When I first started it, I thought, wow, that's incredible. But they're just a normal thing. Like, what are you doing here? Why are you sitting here? Could be doing other things. You're wasting your time. Just get up. Let's get on with it. Let's get back to what we were doing. This is how you're being run by the grey matter. It's a powerful thing.
Yes, it is. And that's what we're talking about, shutting down in one sense, aren't we?
Shut it down.
And what do you hear when you do shut it down, folks? That's the big question that we've been discussing today. We can practice a little bit of silence right now to close. I wondered who'd break first.
Oh, look,
was
mate,
you.
of course, it's a podcast. Well, Molly, it seems that we come to the end. And as always, I'll leave you the last word, Molly. It's been a thoughtful one, this one.
Yeah. Well, even today, somebody wanted to know what we discussed, and I said, well, just life, which is what we do. So thanks for listening, everybody out there across the world. We love to know that you're listening and downloading, and we're not here to tell you what to do. We just share our experience in life, and perhaps we can prompt for you to think a little bit differently about things that may be good for you. If so, that's fine. If not, just get on with life and enjoy it and be kind to each other. And so until the next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's just one side note for me. Well done, Molly. 50 episodes Surf Town. Good on you, mate.
Good on you, mate. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Don't Get Me Started with Keith and Lee. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Don't Get Me Started, jump onto our socials, follow us on Instagram at Lethal and Mully, Facebook and LinkedIn. If you would like to be a part of the show, email us on don'tgetmestarted2024@gmail.com. Until next time.